Seems like there's a lot going on in the livestock industry right now. And Derrell, let's start off with the African swine fever.
Well, this is a big issue. It's clear now that it's going to be a major global issue. African swine fever is affecting, hogs in various countries around the world. The biggest one, of course, is China, and that's the one all eyes are on right now. China produces about 50% of the world's pork production. And so significant losses there, and we don't know what those losses are. I don't think anybody does at this point, but they're significant. And so that's a major issue. It's a major protein shortage for China. They're going to be looking at all kinds of protein markets to try to fill in that missing pork production that's happening in China.
Will this help the cattle and beef markets anyway?
Well, I think it's going to be a boost to all protein markets. Again, China's going to be looking to source pork from other countries, including the U.S., despite our tariff situation, but perhaps more so from other countries. But they're going to be looking at chicken. They're going to be looking at beef as alternative proteins to make up for the gap. So the entire protein complex is going to get a lift. Cattle and beef will get an indirect part of that. Now in the U.S., we don't export much beef to China right now, and we do have this ongoing tariff situation. So, it's going to be more of an indirect effect for us, but we will see some impacts from that in the beef industry as well.
Now, speaking of different markets and potential tariffs, there was some news that came out earlier about potential tariffs with Mexico. A lot of people were thinking cars. First thing I thought of was cattle and beef. Let's talk about the relationship the U.S. has with Mexico in livestock.
Well, again, in all ag markets, Mexico is a major customer, specifically with respect to beef. Mexico is both one of our major export markets as well as one of our major import markets for beef, and it's a significant source of live cattle imports into the U.S. So all of those stand to be impacted. If we put tariffs on Mexican beef, Mexican cattle, that has a series of impacts, and more than likely Mexico is not going to sit still for this, so they're likely to do something that would impact some retaliatory tariffs or something that would impact beef exports to Mexico. And of course, the backdrop here is we're still working on trying to get USMCA approved. So the new version of NAFTA is not ratified yet in any of the three countries. We just got past the steel and aluminum tariffs, which were part of the hang-up towards moving forward. Now this new round of tariffs very likely will pose some additional hurdles that would have to be passed before we would see much progress on that.
So with these potential tariffs, they're staggered in such a way that 5% in the near future, 10% in the future, and so on and so on. What does that mean for the general public when it comes to beef prices?
Well, at the 5% level, I don't think we would actually be able to detect much impact at the consumer level. It will raise prices, for example, on Mexican beef coming in on the importers initially. Over time, that will reduce to some extent the demand for that beef, which would then probably prompt some lowering of prices in Mexico to partially perhaps offset the size of the tariff. And so those things take weeks to months sometimes for all those impacts to work out. Now, if we accelerate up to the 10, 20, 25% level, then those impacts potentially could become much more apparent, much more quickly in terms of not only beef, but many ag and food products that we import from Mexico.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Derrell. Derrell Peel, Livestock Marketing Specialist here at Oklahoma State University.